If you have heard of the Mamas and the Papas, ABBA, The Fifth Dimension, and Fleetwood Mac, then you must be a music enthusiast interested in mixed gender groups. But what about the lesser-known bands from the 1960s to 1980s? The ones that time forgot. Today, we pay tribute to these obscure acts that may not be household names, but still deserve recognition. So, let's dive into the world of 35 mixed gender groups that you probably never heard of. First up, we have the Silver Eagle Express. Take a look at that disco dolly in the pink dress and the fellow striking a pose in yellow. Who's sassier? It's hard to tell. Next, we have the Millionaires and Impulse. No, I didn't accidentally leave off the E from Impulse. That's literally their name. Sometimes simplicity is key. Now, let's talk about Bob Azam and his orchestra. Usually, when you see a group of men with just one female member, she's usually the vocal front woman. But with a name like Bob Azam, it's safe to say she's not the band leader in this case. Moving on, we have Decoupage and Rendezvous. Decoupage may sound like a cool name for an 80s group, but it actually refers to sticking flowery cutouts on boxes and things. Not as cool as it sounds, right? Family and Sylvia and the Music Men also make the list. The compulsion to misspell a perfectly good word was widespread and annoying, but if the Beatles did it, I suppose Family can too. Now, let's talk about Freedom and the Jerry Sun Show. Freedom seems like an obvious name for a band from the late 60s, early 70s, but it's interesting that this is the group that claims it. As for the Jerry Sun Show, they may not be well known, but Jerry Sun himself was a fairly accomplished musician. Moving on, we have Caramelo. Isn't that a candy bar? And speaking of food names, we have Trigo Limpio, which translates to clean wheat. Surely, that can't be correct. Artie, Linda and the Premiers and Mercy also make the list. The costume designs for Mercy didn't age well, to say the least. Now, let's take a look at Young & Company. Check out those leopard print stools and that shag carpet. The Young Residence has got it going on. Veronica Unlimited and SWAT were popular in the Netherlands around 1977, but not so much elsewhere. Prima Donna and Funtime Funtimers also make the list. Which of these bands is the squarest? It's hard to say. Gemini is a nice enough name, but Unibrow might have been a better choice. The Gallens and Group 6 also make an appearance, along with Country 4, a Swedish group promoting their new hit single, Nyanstans, Non-Gang, Somewhere, My Love. New York Voices may not be everyone's cup of tea, but sometimes you can just look at a group and tell you would hate them with every fiber of your being. Manzanas, Guys and Dolls, and the Hardy Boys also make the list. Guys and Dolls was popular enough to warrant a greatest hits record, and Paul Griggs' Afro is considered a national treasure in Hertfordshire. The Hardy Boys, on the other hand, were a fictional, yet real, band that accompanied Filmation's Hardy Boys cartoon series. The Kalos and the Dave Bunker Group bring us some interesting fashion choices with their matching crushed velvet jumpsuits and bouffants. And let's not forget the Sandy Mason 4 with their impressive collars. Metro and Cold Blood may not be well known, but they're actually really good bands. The Century Singers, on the other hand, are a mystery. They're just one of the many family bands that took to the road performing at churches in the South. A lost art indeed. Finally, we have the Changing and Howdy Moon. Howdy Moon, in particular, is a sinfully underplayed band. They only released one record, but it's an excellent example of soft, mid-70s pop rock. I have no doubt they would have risen from obscurity had they stayed together. The most exciting part is still ahead, so let's immerse ourselves in the images and reminisce about that era. These old photographs reflect a period of past history, and through them, we can savor the essence of a bygone era. So, join us on this journey as we explore 35 mixed gender groups from the 1960s to 1980s that you probably never heard of.